Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your Neighbourhood Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Susanne Maziarz, and I have your announcements for the coming week. Today, after service, is our part 2 of the AGM. Members, please stay to vote on accepting our 2023 financial statements and indebtedness report. In our neighborhood gallery, we have an exciting new show, Diorama Dramas by Martha Davis, photographs and 3D dioramas exploring big issues. It will open today after the service from 1 to 3 p.m., and Martha is here this morning. Welcome, Martha. You're welcome. Join neighborhood member Joan Pennings before Sunday services. I don't believe it will be in that room. We are working on what room we will be meeting in for meditation before service from 10 to 10:20. A seasoned meditator, Joan will lead for advanced folks, and beginners all are welcome to join. Conversations on racism in Canada, happening 2 weeks from today, June 16th, after service from 1 till 2:30 with Reverend Patricia Trudeau and Dr. Wilbur Naden. Participants will be able to engage in a discussion of interpersonal and systemic racism in Canada. The goal is to foster a deeper understanding necessary for moving towards dismantling the effects of white supremacy and colonialism. Here in Rafos Hall on next Sunday, next Sunday from 2 to 3:30, the East Toronto Multi-Faith Community presents Exploring the Origins of Anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. All are welcome. Coffee Committee needs help. Can you help? By either donating snacks that can be served Sunday morning, or even better, offer to take on a Sunday snack roll. You can talk to Linda about how you can help. I believe Linda right now is in the kitchen setting up snacks for us for after service. Council of All Beings workshop is happening on Saturday, June 15th from 10:30 to 5 at the Bain Co-op. Gather in this community ritual to speak on behalf of the non-human world and receive their gifts to continue healing and protecting our planet. This is a part of the work that reconnects and will be led by Bruce Line, Natalie Zen, with music by Larry Nussbaum. June's Circle Music is happening Sunday, June 16th, 2 weeks from today, from 3 to 5. That's co-led by Jane Lewis and myself. All are welcome to join this improvised singing circle, no matter on your experience singing. It's a creative opportunity for listening, being in the moment, sharing, and there's a lot of laughing. You can talk to me after service if you're curious about circle music. Our services are created by our staff and volunteers. Myself, I'm the music director. Julia Thompson, Lifespan Learning Director. Reverend Pat Trudeau is our contract minister. Today, Allison Kabayama will be our service weaver, and we have Dr. Sean Thomas at our AV desk. Thanks to all volunteers that help out with our community. Next Sunday, we continue with our monthly theme of Joyful Justice, which begins today. The message is Finding Hope from the Spiritual in Dark Times. Our speaker will be Kofi Hope. I will be providing the music. Our service weaver will be Kurt Thompson, and Time for All Ages will be with Julia Thompson.
Good morning. We welcome you to our Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist service. Thank you for joining us, whether you are here in person or joining us via Zoom. My name is Allison Kabayama, and I will be your service weaver this morning. We start today's service by creating a sacred space. Let's start with any electronics. Sacred space is easily disturbed and broken by ringing and distracting devices, so please turn them off. And I invite you to join me in reading our invocation. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here. A space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life. A life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families. This morning, our chalice will be lit by Sana. We light this chalice to remember, to light the fire within our own hearts. I start by acknowledging that the Mississaugas of the New Credit, First Nations, the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee Nation, the Anishinaabe Nation, lived here before me and are living here now together with other First Nations, Métis, and Inuit. I offer my gratitude to our First Nations for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. Their teachings in part have helped me to appreciate this great cosmos full of life and knowing that I am a part of it. I belong. I will work to honor these teachings. Let's take a moment to ground ourselves and feel our bodies are kin to this land, like the flowers in this room. Let's take a deep breath in and out, and again, and out. We belong.
And as we celebrate our land and the flowers that come from it, we're celebrating Flower Communion today. I'd like to offer 3 pieces throughout the course of the service by Anishinaabe composer Beverly McIver. I started with a piece about the trillium flower that comes from a series of a commission that she received, Canadian Floral Emblems, to write a piece for every province's flower. It was commissioned in 2020. So I opened with Ontario, and for the prelude, I'd like to share her piece, Purple Violet, which is, I believe, New Brunswick's provincial flower. In the slides, you'll find an image of the flower as well as the composer's description of her inspiration for the piece. My mistake. Western Red Lily from Saskatchewan. Sorry about that. Very good.
Thank you, Susanne. If you're having any problem or challenge hearing the beautiful music that Susanne's sharing or my words, we do have assisted listening devices available at the AV desk. We are open to many beliefs and learn from many traditions. We welcome all people seeking a spiritual community. If you're visiting us in person for the first time, a special welcome to you. Please stay after service for coffee and tea. Take a red mug if you like, and we'll know you're interested in talking to us about Neighbourhood and how you came to be here. Our services can vary from week to week, so please come more than once and get a better feel for who we are. Our mission at Neighbourhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of our world. Our theme for June is Joyful Justice. Today's theme is Dreaming Justice, coupled with our Flower Communion. When we were preparing for today's service, a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. was quoted to me. "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." This long arc towards justice can also be compared to the journey of a flower reaching for the sun. A seed lies dormant until planted in earth, rich in nutrients, and showered with water and warmed by sunshine. Sometimes it can seem like nothing is happening until finally we see a green shoot pushing its way through the ground. It may sprout growths that develop into leaves and eventually stretches tall. And matures to the point of growing a bud. We can notice how that bud reaches for the sun and finally opens into a bloom, full bloom. There is much that goes into the creation of the seed and the seed's journey of creation and toward becoming a flower in much the same way that justice can take a lifetime or even many lifetimes to be achieved. Our abiding faith and continued work while we dream of justice is what eventually brings us to achieving the goal we are dreaming of. Today we are having a flower ceremony, which is sometimes referred to as Flower Communion or Flower Festival. It is an annual ritual that celebrates beauty, human uniqueness, diversity, and community. It was originally created in 1923 by Unitarian minister Norbert Čapek of Prague, Czechoslovakia. The flower ceremony was introduced to the United States by Reverend Maya Čapek, Norbert's widow. The flower ceremony came about when the traditional Christian communion service of bread and wine wouldn't meet the needs of Reverend Čapek's congregation because his church, like ours, had people who believed different things. Čapek turned to the beauty of the countryside, to the beauty of flowers. In 1923, he asked his congregants to bring a flower to church from their gardens, the field, or the roadside. He invited each person to place their flower in a vase. There was the church community, no less unique for being united. Following the service, each person could take a flower from the vase, a different one than they had brought. Čapek was a visionary minister with a church ahead of its time, a bold church, a church thinking beyond its doors, beyond what it thought possible. It was a church that was willing to take risks, to make tough decisions, to bear disappointment and build a new way, first by building a church, and that church that could build up the world. That is our church. That was Chapek's church. For this, he was arrested in 1942. The Nazis accused Chapek of listening to foreign broadcasts and sent him to Dachau concentration camp. Even in starvation and torture, he held a flower ceremony with his fellow prisoners, finding whatever flowers they could find among the weeds of the camp. And these flowers testified to a beauty larger than themselves and a love that would outlive them. What we are about to do is not a historical reenactment of something over and done, but an affirmation of our continuity with the generations of struggle for ever-widening liberty. This flower ceremony, lovely though it is, isn't a diversion from ugly reality, but a gentle fierceness which proclaims that in the midst of sinister days, there is always the light of beauty. Today, we celebrate this ritual of solemnity and joy as Chapek asked his people to bring a flower and celebrate beauty. Let us dream a better reality. In the words of Henry David Thoreau, the American essayist, poet, and practical philosopher, who said, "I have learned this, at least by my experiment, that if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours." Anais Nin was a French-born American diarist, essayist, novelist, and writer of short stories and erotica, who expressed this concept in different words. Our life is greatly composed of dreams from the unconscious, and they must be brought into connection with action. They must be woven together. Now is the time for us to come forward and place your flowers in one of the vases here. You can greet your neighbors in passing too. Susanne will sound a chime to end. Now please take a moment to bring up your flowers.
Thank you, everyone. Will you please rise in energy and spirit to come sing a song with me? Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know you're mine. And I'll bring you home when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Thank you, Allison. And I would ask kids to join me. Come one, come all. Help yourselves to a cushion. You might have to share today since there are a few extra of you. Do you want to hang out with me? Yeah. All right. Well, I want to try to tell this story without looking at the script. So you want to hang on to that for me? You can follow along, and if I lose my place, you can just give me a little cue. So I wrote this story, and I got the idea from a story by Demi called The Empty Flower Pot. I don't know whether any of you know this story. All right, I shall begin. There was once a wise leader by the name of Arbor, and Arbor believed that each and every person is important and should be treated fairly and kindly. And when you looked at Arbor, you just knew that this was a person who lived life joyfully. But Arbor was a little bit of a trickster. She liked to play some pranks here and there, as we will soon find out. Now, Arbor was getting ready to retire, so she had to find a new leader to take her place. She wanted to travel the world just to learn about the world. And she thought, who should I choose? That's going to be hard. And she was looking out at her brightly colored flowers in her pollinator garden, and a very good and kind of sneaky, mischievous, thank you, I'm so glad, mischievous idea came to her mind. So she called all those who were interested in becoming the new leader and said, please help yourself to some seeds and plant them in a flower pot, and we will gather on the 2nd of June, the same time, the same place. but please only use these seeds. Please don't trade them for others. So, everybody was excited. Okay, no, I have it. One of the people, thank you. You should do this professionally. One of the people at the meeting, their name was Ren, and Ren was not an eco warrior, but Ren got some rich compost and some earth, mixed them together. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just if I make a huge error, please let me know, but if I'm okay, then good. Okay. Ren then planted the seed and watered it and put it in the sun, and Ren waited 1 week. Nothing sprouted. Ren waited another week. Still nothing had happened. So it was June 2nd, today. And the people all gathered together, and Ren was standing there with their empty flower pot. And somebody standing nearby said, "Why did you even bother to come if your pot is empty?" And Ren said, "Well, I'm here because I did my best, and I'm good with that." So Arbor wandered around looking at all the flowers, and strangely enough, Arbor did not look very impressed, even though there were some beautiful flowers there. And then they said, they looked around and said, "Does anybody have anything other than a flower?" And Ren spoke up, and they said, I do." And Arbor said, "What do you have?" And Ren said, "I have an empty pot." And Arbor said, "Good for you." No? She said, "Why is your pot empty?" And then Arbor said, "Well, I tried my best, and this is my best." Right. And Ren, right. And Arbor said, "I have brought some flowers for anybody who has an empty pot. And your seeds could not possibly have grown because I cooked them all." I told you that Arbor was mischievous. And Arbor said, I would like to celebrate Ren and all of us as we continue to learn and grow and search for truth and kindness. Truth and, what was it, kindness? Together. And yes, together. And so Arbor said, "Now, your first assignment will be to figure out what we should do with all these flowers." And Ren said, "Well, I heard that Neighbourhood is having a flower communion. So I think that we should put, all our flowers are different, just like all of us. And I think that we should put all of our flowers together. And then when we leave, we can leave with a different flower." Thank you.
Children grow in the Spirit. Children grow in the Spirit. Grow in the Spirit. Children grow in the Spirit. Children grow in the Spirit. Grow in the Spirit. Grow in the Spirit. Children. You can hear the anticipation for that song. It's a building. It's. I'd like to introduce our returning guest speaker, Reverend Lynn Harrison. was ordained here at Neighbourhood UU congregation in 2015 after receiving her Master of Divinity degree from Emmanuel College at the University of Toronto. She served for 7 years as the Associate Minister at First Unitarian Congregation of Toronto. Now she speaks and sings as a minister at large for several UU communities. Welcome, Reverend Lynn.
Thank you, Allison, and it's lovely to be back here. It always is terrific to return to my original home congregation of Neighbourhood Congregation, Neighbourhood UU. Also want to thank Julia for her the lovely story, The Empty Flower Pot, which was adapted from the wisdom story, The Empty Pot, this morning. Even though my message today is not specifically about flower communion or flowers, my topic, dreaming justice, it is a message about growth and about lifelong learning and about finding wisdom and kindness in unexpected places. My message is about a time of emptiness, which a time that we often perceive, rather, as a time of emptiness, which actually contains great wisdom if we open ourselves to it. It is the world of sleep and dreaming, which we so often dismiss as nothing. But it is part of the ground of being. It is part of the it is a foundational aspect of life that we need in order to grow, to flower, to bring more love and justice into this world. Today, I'm going to tell you about people who are making the links between rest and resistance, between dreaming and transformation. As your congregational year will soon move into its summer months, I hope that all of you, that all of us, can find the rest and renewal that we need to bring our dreams of justice into reality. When I was in my 20s, just starting my working life, I received a book called Sleep Less, Live More as a gift. You can still find it for sale online. It is described as, quote, a 14-point sleep reduction program that can help you add thousands of healthy and productive years or healthy and productive hours to your life, to your life. Maybe not thousands of years, yeah, thousands of hours. In my undergrad years, before I maybe attained a bit of wisdom and actually went to divinity school, I took caffeine pills called wake-ups. Anyone remember those? Yes, absolutely. And millions of people today still consume Red Bull and other energy drinks for the same purpose. Dr. Kelly Bulkeley is a global expert on dreams. He's a graduate of Harvard Divinity School and a psychologist focusing on dreams and religion. In his brand new book, The Spirituality of Dreaming, Unlocking the Wisdom of Our Sleeping Selves, Kelly Bulkeley writes, alas, present-day Western society does not consider sleep a sacred practice. Far from it. Those of us who live within this broad cultural ecosystem are encouraged to view sleep in negative terms, focusing primarily on what it does not involve. When we are sleeping, we do not work, shop, consume, travel, party, communicate, or use social media. Sleep is seen as a desert of action, an annoying interruption of our most important, productive, and enjoyable activities. This point echoes the current work of a pioneering activist named Tricia Hersey. In 2016, she started a contemporary resistance movement called the Nap Ministry. She describes it as being rooted in Black liberation and womanist perspectives. Tricia Hersey points out that a lack of sleep is often a racialized and economic issue. The NAP ministry is therefore very well aligned with the anti-oppression work that Canadian Unitarians affirm through our new 8th principle. Hersey writes, "My rest as a Black woman in America, suffering from generational exhaustion and racial trauma, always was a political refusal and social justice uprising within my body." She says, "I took to rest and naps and slowing down as a way to save my life, to resist the systems telling me to do more, and mostly as a remembrance to my ancestries. Most importantly, as a remembrance to my ancestors who had their dream space stolen from them." This is more than about naps, she says. It is not about fluffy pillows, expensive sheets, silk sleep masks, or any other external, frivolous, consumerist gimmick. It is about a deep unraveling from white supremacy and capitalism. These two systems are violent and evil. Tricia Hersey makes clear that sleep is necessary for human survival and well-being, and that the people most vulnerable in our society are the ones least able to rest and to dream. Now, many people in Unitarian congregations may be fortunate enough to sleep well and whenever they wish. I remember a very healthy senior that I met early in my ministry who cheerfully told me that her favorite leisure activity is sleeping. She's no longer living, but she lived a long and healthy life. That said, we might be hindered by the stories we tell ourselves about productivity and laziness. What's more, we may find that stress affects our ability to sleep. In Unitarian circles, there are many people who find ourselves heavily committed to many worthy causes. We may feel, consciously or not, that if we dared to take a rest, we would be letting other people down, not doing all we could to improve the world, or generally not living up to our potential. We can link this belief to what was called the Protestant work ethic, the notion that people would be saved as a result of their good works, rather than by the unconditional love, which was the essence of faith for our Universalist ancestors. Is it possible that in addition to providing rest for our weary bodies, sleep might help us connect in some way to that unconditional love, to a dimension of life that is deeper than our ego? Well, could it help us? Could it help us get past our seemingly insatiable desire for more stuff and more and more and more accomplishment? Well, that is where dreaming comes in. The psychologist Rollo May said this about dreams: all through the ages, people have regarded their dreams as sources of wisdom, guidance, and insight. But most of us today think of our dreams as odd episodes, as foreign as some strange ceremonial dance. This results in the cutting off of an exceedingly great and significant portion of the self. We then are no longer able to use much of the wisdom and power of our unconscious. When I learned about Tricia Hersey's NAP ministry, I expected it to be focused solely on the so-called practical aspects of sleep, and the universal human right of sleep and rest for all people, especially those who are marginalized. I found that focus, of course, but in addition, I was delighted to learn that dreaming, that little understood dimension of our lives, is also an important part of the NAP ministry. Tricia Hersey writes, "The dream aspect of our rest work is deeply tied to the metaphysical and the spiritual. It is a time to be free from the confines of linear reality. Grind culture, by that she means our capitalist system, thrives on us remaining in our heads, unable to allow the technology of our divine bodies to soar and develop." She goes on, "There is massive knowledge and wisdom lying dormant in our exhausted and weary bodies and hearts. I believe the dreaming part of our unraveling will be the most challenging because it goes against all we have been socialized to maintain, the pace and disconnection of grind culture, which keeps us available to the toxic systems, but unable to inhabit the divinity of our true selves. Unable to inhabit the divinity of our true selves." As for me, I can tell you that dreaming is an essential part of my spiritual life. I have kept a dream diary for many, many years and have worked with dreams in psychotherapy, with spiritual directors, and with others in groups. I find that the stories and personal symbols that arise when my conscious self is offline during sleep, they point me in the direction of what my deeper self needs, what my inner wisdom is calling for. Often, or actually usually, my dreams are mysterious and bewildering. They certainly are not a clear and immediate roadmap to any solution to any problem that I feel I might have. That is, they don't offer the instant gratification that I am conditioned by our culture to want and expect. No, instead, my dreams reorient me to a much larger mystery. They point toward an interdependent web of all existence in a way that I need to be reminded as often as possible in order to be healthy, in order to know that I am whole. In our own Unitarian Universalist tradition, we were left with a wonderful resource on dreaming from the late UU minister, Reverend Jeremy Taylor. His book, The Wisdom of Your Dreams, published in 2009, remains one of the most valuable books on dreaming ever written. In addition to demonstrating how dreams can be personally meaningful, Jeremy Taylor showed that they can be useful in social justice work as deep-seated biases come to the surface in dreams in ways that our conscious selves may not want to admit. Reverend Taylor's work is celebrated in the new book I mentioned earlier, The Spirituality of Dreaming. In it, Dr. Kelly Bulkeley also lifts up the many insights of our Canadian Unitarian friend and colleague, Jean Van Bronckhorst. Jean is a former member of Toronto First who recently moved to Victoria, BC. She's an experienced hospice volunteer, and much of her work focuses on the deeply meaningful significance of dreams at the end of life. Dreams speak to us in symbols and patterns. They have been described as expressions of pure nature, arising spontaneously out of the depths of psyche to comment on our waking lives. Jeremy Taylor wrote, "Every dream comes to us in service to our growth, and all dreams reflect inborn creativity and the ability to face and solve life's problems. Now, most of life's problems and the dreams that comment on them remain personal to us. But occasionally, dreams are shared in ways that help us understand their power to change the world. In The Spirituality of Dreaming, Kelly Bulkeley tells a story about Harriet Tubman, the Black American woman who led so many out of slavery through the Underground Railroad. Harriet Tubman experienced very powerful dreams, including dreams of flying over foreign landscapes, striving to escape, overcoming obstacles, and receiving help from others. According to historical accounts, she followed the promptings of her dreams to reach out to white abolitionists who helped her in organizing the daring rescue missions for which she is now remembered. As Kelly Bulkeley writes, for Harriet Tubman, dreaming and sharing dreams served as a kind of spiritual compass that gave her a strong sense of confidence in her direction and a clear awareness of the challenges and the opportunities ahead. Like Harriet Tubman, some of us may remember our dreams clearly and be able to share them with others. Keeping a very simple dream journal can be very effective in bringing our dreams forward and encouraging more of them. But even if we don't remember our dreams upon waking, I believe that they are shaping us through our unconscious as we sleep. So if you are one of those people for whom dreams are not remembered, you can be assured that the dreams are still at work in you. Using symbols and metaphors and universal archetypes to provide wisdom that we cannot access in our waking lives, especially waking lives so full of busyness and distraction. Our subconscious, the dream maker, the inner wisdom, it is there for us. Without welcoming the empty space of rest and sleep, without inviting the empty pot, without the busyness and distraction, we cannot be filled with the unexpected wisdom of our dreams. Without rest and dreaming, we cannot flower to be the people of, without rest and dreaming, we cannot flower into the people we hope to become. So let us take now a few moments, actually a few minutes, I believe, in the space of meditation, to simply sit and enjoy a restful time without words, a time when we can allow our minds and our bodies to be held, to relax, to rest, as Susanne supports us with music. Thank you so much for your presence here and for your listening.
Now is the time for our offertory. If you give offerings in the basket, please take one of the envelopes and pens that are provided in the backs of the chairs and identify your offering. You can also choose to give predated checks, e-transfers, or automatic withdrawals. This congregation is a living entity, and like all living things, it must have nurture and sustenance. Whether you are here online or here in the sanctuary, you can use the link displayed on the screen, which also can lead you to our donation page on our website. In all ways, I ask you to be generous. And greeters, please bring the baskets to me when the money is collected. We will now pause, and Reverend Lynn will play one of her original songs.
Before I do, I can also add something that I think I should also add to every sermon and every song, and that is that they are never complete. They arise when they arise. We offer what we can, but they are part of something much larger, which we can only begin to comprehend. When you're lost, taken on a journey of uncertain cost, the dream will lead you home. When you find part of you was left behind, the dream will lead you home. Wide awake, open to the many ways the soul is shaped, the dream will lead you home. In the dark burns your own eternal spark, the dream will lead you home. The dream will lead you home. And I'll be waiting there in the morning light with all of your friends. I'll be hoping you sleep well till then. Don't lose heart. Don't you know you're tethered to the moon and stars? The dream will lead you home. Have some faith. Turn to your Creator's face. The dream will lead you home. The dream will lead you home. And I'll be waiting here in the morning light with all of your friends. Find your way up the stairs, I will see you then. Don't be scared, wherever you're going, you're already there. The dream will lead you home. Turn the page, hear what all the prophets say. The dream will lead you home. The dream will lead you home. When you lost, the dream will lead you home.
If you have found love and acceptance here, if you have found home here, if you have known kindred spirits here, Let this offering be a token of gratitude for our common life as we build the common good.
Please rise in spirit for our closing song, If Every Woman in the World. Thank you to Reverend Lynn to remind us about the power of our dreams. As an activist myself involved in a lot of stopping actions, there's also the work to do to envision and dream the kind of world that we want instead and to work towards it. If every woman in the world had her mind set on freedom, if every woman in the world dreamed a sweet dream of peace, if every woman of every nation, young and old, each generation, held her hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every man in the world had his mind set on freedom, if every brother stood with brother as a witness for peace, if every man of every nation, young and old, each generation, held his hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every leader in the world shared a vision of freedom, if every leader in the world shared a sweet dream of peace, if every leader of every nation worked for justice and liberation, holding hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every nation in the world set a true course for freedom, if every nation raised its children in a culture of peace, if all our sons and all our daughters reached in friendship across the waters, refusing to be enemies, there would be no more war.
Now I invite you to sing with Sana as she extinguishes our chalice. Although our chalice has been darkened, we hold the fire within our own hearts. Please take your neighbor's hand, or touch their shoulder, or touch elbows, connecting physically as we have spiritually. Before we come forward and select a flower, Reverend Lynn has closing words for us.
Thank you, Allison. As our service comes to a close, I will offer a brief blessing, and then we're all invited to come forward to share in the flower communion by taking a flower home with you, a different one than you brought today. Before we do, here are words from the Celtic poet and spiritual teacher John O'Donoghue. This is from his blessing on belonging. May the frames of your belonging be generous enough for your dreams. May you arise each day with a voice of blessing whispering in your heart. May you find harmony between your soul and your life. May you allow the wild beauty of the invisible world to gather you, mind you, and embrace you in belonging. This service is ended. Thank you for being here. Be at peace.